Love that jokes.
Can we have another round of applause for me, please? Real quick. So, I've been crying a lot in the shower recently. And it's not because I have any severe emotional issues or body image problems. It's just that I've recently made the jump from L'Oreal Kids No Tear shampoo to the big boy stuff. And it's not been treating me very well. It's like last week I could literally douse my eyes in my shampoo, and this week I'm crying as hard as the time I found out there was no Santa Claus. Those were tears of joy. I want to bet against some of my Christian friends. I just think it's time somebody writes a very strongly worded letter to the CEOs of the shampoo industry explaining that there's a much needed buffer between children's shampoos and adult shampoos. For instance, when you're good and ready to graduate from children's shampoos, you could go from L'Oreal Kids No Tear shampoos to L'Oreal Young Adult or L'Oreal Watch Out. But no, it's straight from, you know what? I think the perfect model for the shampoo industry is the orange juice industry. You could go through a supermarket, and for those of you, this is mainly for those of you who are still unsure as to how much pulp you like in your orange juice, but they give you options. We need options with shampoo. I mean, in orange juice, they give you no pulp, lots of pulp, some pulp. Pulp. For those of you who are unsure, still unsure. But in the shampoo industry, it's straight from no tears to retinal detachment. It's like the worst. It's the worst like leap you could ever make in your life. It's honestly miserable. And I think my 20-year stint with children's shampoo is a product of bad parenting. My dad used to do something that I still remember today, because it still goes on today, I'm not going to lie. But every time before I get in the car, we go on a family trip, or literally anywhere, my dad makes sure I go to the bathroom before I get in the car, and he stresses over, Jason, did you go to the bathroom? Did you, and then he'll like adjust the back the rear view mirror, like, did you go to the bathroom? No, Dad, I'm fucking with you. The second we get on the highway, I'm gonna piss all over your face. I swear to God. But, so it's kind of frustrating at this point, but as much as he was concerned with me going to the bathroom before a trip, I wonder how Moses felt before crossing the Red Sea with all the Jews. Was he like, okay, listen, Aaron, I know how your bladder is, Aaron, I know. Did you go before we left? Because I swear to God, there's a lot of angry Egyptians behind us who are still pretty pissed off about that whole firstborn thing. You know what we did back there. So, I'm telling you, please, guys, it's a very narrow passageway and we're all wearing sandals. Please, go before we leave. Please, God damn it. I'm about to lay a bomb on you guys. I know it's hard to tell by looking at me, but growing up, I was never really into sports. But interestingly enough, my mom had a very unique method of getting me. She was very concerned with my grades growing up. You gotta get into college, you're gonna get into college. So she's very concerned with my grades growing up, so she used alternative methods to get me to study. I remember I'd be like sitting down one afternoon on a Saturday and watching cartoons and shit, and there's like, and my mom would be like, Jason, come upstairs for a second. So I go upstairs and my mom would be like, look at the TV, and on the TV would be like, 14 kids slain in Syosset this weekend. News at 11. And she'd be like, this is gonna be you if you don't learn how to spell refrigerator. So after a couple season D's on spelling tests, I felt that the probability of me getting kidnapped and raped was pretty high at this point. So I thought it was time that I get some sort of protection, some form, some line of defense where if a kidnapper did happen to break through my window and take me away forever, I'd be able to beat the crap out of him right away. So I went up to my dad, it was my 9th birthday, and I went up to my mom and dad, I go, Mom and Dad, I know what I want for my 9th birthday. A baseball bat. And I could see the look of pride on my father's face because this was a really big step up from last year's birthday request. It's never easy telling your father you want to play the flute. So they take me to the sporting goods store, and we get on the floor, and we go up to one of the sales reps, and they come up to us, and they're like, "How can I help you today?" And when it goes, "My son," extreme amounts of pride, "my son wants a baseball bat." Amazing, right? And the guy goes, "Oh, we got a little Babe Ruth here, don't we?" And I go, "Was he kidnapped too?" So they test out a couple of baseball bats. He puts me in a couple of stances like this. I've never been like this before. But I go, "This guy has a lot of experience with anti-abduction techniques." So I'm swinging my bat around, and I finally set on one, and I go home. And I'm ready to, I bought the bat so I could, ward off criminals. But so I threw it under my bed. And my dad comes into my room, and he sees me throwing the bat under my bed, and he goes, "Hey, sport!" And for a kid who doesn't give a shit about the Super Bowl, nothing good is coming after the phrase, "Hey, sport." Somebody goes, "Hey, sport, what are you doing with your bat? We're about to hit the Little League practice." And at first I was fine with that because I thought that Little League practice, I thought Little League was a bunch of kids who were equally as concerned with child abduction as I was. But when I got to the park and found out that I'd be playing baseball for the next 6 to 7 weeks on Saturdays and Sundays, I stood at the edge of the gate and put my thumb out, hoping somebody with an unmarked van would come by and take me away forever. So a couple years later, I was a pretty paranoid kid. A couple years later, I was bar mitzvahed, and I'm sure a couple of you were bar mitzvahed. But something my temple did that other temples didn't do is they made us do a community service project before we were bar mitzvahed. And one day, so I go to my rabbi and I go, "Rabbi, I have a phenomenal idea for my community service project. I'm going." It was about the time that Jim Carrey's How the Grinch Stole Christmas came out, that movie. So, "Rabbi, I'm going to write a story for Jewish kids because you know what, Christian kids they get it all, and Jewish guys make all the movies, but the Christian guys, it's all for them." So I go, "I'm going to write the story How the Grinch Stole Yom Kippur." And my rabbi goes, "Jason, I like where your head is at. Do you want some challah?" "I'm good, Rabbi." "But I'm not sure the masses will like that story. Because why would the Grinch want to steal a whole day of no food and migraines?" And I go, "For someone who's supposed to be really religious, you don't give a shit about Yom Kippur. You really don't care at all. But that's your thing." So I went home. I trust my rabbi. I went home, back to the drawing board, and I came up with a new story, and I went back the next week, and I go, "Rabbi, I have another story. I have a fantastic story, and I think I'm going to tell the youth of our Jewish Center. How the Grinch Stole Passover." And my rabbi goes, "Jason, I like where your head is at. You want some challah?" "It's still good, Rabbi. But I'm not sure that people would really like that because, who wants a week without bread and leavened products? It's really a bitch." And I'm like, "Rabbi, for someone who's really Jewish, you really don't give a shit about Jews, do you?" So you go, "Yeah, so I go home, back to the drawing board, and I thought, okay, at this point, this is my last shot with my rabbi. So I go back to my rabbi the next week and I go, "Rabbi, I have this, with pride, full of pride, I have the story you're gonna love, you're gonna love it, you're gonna love it." He goes, "Jason, it's fantastic. I'm about to tell you the story of how the Grinch stole Hanukkah." My rabbi goes, "Oh, wow. You want some challah?" "God damn it, Rabbi, I don't want any fucking challah. I'm done." He goes, "But no, I like where your head is at. I'm just not sure. What's wrong with this story, Rabbi?" And he goes, "Well, would the Grinch really have to steal Hanukkah?" And I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "God's a pretty reasonable guy. Don't you think you could just name a price and give it to him?" Are you fucking serious? The best holiday Jews have, you could sell? You think you could get rid of that for money? Anyway, I trust my rabbi, so I'm like, so how much do you think Hanukkah could go for? He goes, $300-400. What? iPhone's worth more than that. Like, are you fucking kidding me? So, I trust my rabbi. So I trust my rabbi. He goes, yeah, 300. So the next week, I read to the Jewish youth of my town the story of how the Grinch bargained with God for the legal rights to Hanukkah by Jason Blackman, and that was the story I read. This past summer I worked down south, way deep down south in Louisiana, and that was an experience. And the flight down was even more of an experience than that. Two things that happened very interesting on the flight. Right before takeoff, the captain gets on and goes, attention passengers, this is your pilot speaking. We have a 3 to 4 hour drive. There's Baton Rouge, Louisiana, sunny skies. I'm sure we'll be fine. Also, as a side note, apparently we have Jimmy Munson on the flight, a 14-year-old boy who apparently made the foundation Miles for Hope, which is an organization that takes a percentage of your ticket sales and puts it towards pediatric AIDS research. And two things struck me as a little strange about that. One is that he prefaced Jimmy's accomplishments with the word apparently. Which kind of signified that he didn't really believe it happened. He might as well have said, apparently we have Jimmy Munson on the flight. He made the foundation Miles for Love. But I have my doubts. And then the second thing that really got me going is like, this kid is if this is true, this kid is 14 years old, and he created a foundation that's going to help millions and millions of kids with AIDS. That's amazing. I haven't done anything my whole life that's that good. If I was 14 and a pilot was announcing me on a flight, like I couldn't even imagine. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your pilot speaking. We have a very safe flight down to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Apparently, we have Jason Blackman, 14-year-old Jason Blackman on this flight. And apparently, he successfully masturbated 17 times in one afternoon. But I have my doubts. So I get down to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna be one of the most racist and anti-Semitic places I've ever been in my life. And surprisingly, it wasn't, except for one person. I was at the bottom of the food chain in the industry I was working in. I was working in the film industry, and I was a production assistant. And every day I had to do breakfast runs to this local bagel store, to a bagel factory. And every day my boss would send me to the bagel store. I get lunch for everybody, and I bring it back, and everyone would eat it, and it was fantastic. And but in front of the bagel store was this Southern Baptist Christian missionary. And you don't meet many of those in Long Island, so I was not prepared. So every day I go to the bagel store, and she'd be standing in front of the bagel store, and she'd go, "Hey, good morning! Are you ready to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior?" And I'd be like, "No, not today." So I go to the bagel store, and I'm just wondering, who thought of her business? Who's her business manager? Who thinks that it's a good idea to post up in front of a bagel store? If there's any type of American who's harder to distract, it's a Jew on his way to get a bagel. You're not going to convert me. I'm sorry. And it's as if she thinks like my boss told me every morning, like, listen, on your way to get bagels, I need to get 3 everythings, 2 cinnamon ravels, a pound of cream cheese, and if you could find me any literature on Christianity, that'd be fantastic. No, it doesn't happen. So after 5 weeks of doing this, I got pretty upset, and I mean, my Jew guilt kicked in, and I felt bad for her after a while, that like, nobody was converting to Christianity on their way to get bagels, so I decided, you know what, one day she says, "Hey, good morning. Are you ready to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior?" And I said, yeah. I think this morning's a good morning for that, I think. And I was expecting some like grand gesture, like some sort of baptism, or like I was like holy water on my face, or I don't know what Christians do, but what she gave me was a pamphlet.